What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have Bitcoin sitting at $67,600 and falling. And we also have the US elections coming up tomorrow. So today I want to discuss what we need to keep an eye on for Bitcoin, as well as some stocks we can be taking a look at and some cryptos. Uh, but it looks like it may be volatile heading into this election as the results are mixed. But we have everything you need to know about Bitcoin as well as these stocks, commodities, and cryptos. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. All right, guys, let's get into it. First off, I want to start out with the SPY sitting at 570, and it looks like we may be coming back down on the SPY. Right now, the last couple days we have gapped down, so the market is looking a little weak. We were suspecting that we may see some sort of pullback here in the stock market in the range of 3 to 5%. But it does look like we may be heading back down to this key support area right around 560 down to 555, possibly somewhere in that area on the SPY. Another stock that we have been watching is MSTR. This thing has been ripping and it has finally started to pull back here a little bit in the last couple of days. I added an additional box here because I do think that we may find some support right around this 200 to 210 range on MSTR. Um, and just because this stock has been very strong, it's had very little pullbacks. It does need a little time to cool off, but nevertheless, MSTR has been looking very bullish overall. So I think it will continue to do good. Obviously, we know we've got the elections coming up, and if a certain candidate wins, then that will be bullish for crypto as well as MSTR. Of course, I don't really like to discuss politics here, but since we do have the elections, it is something that we need to keep in mind. There's several other sectors that could do well under a Trump win, such potentially as um, some of the metals, as well as potentially the some of the oil stocks. So that's something we will keep an eye on. But nevertheless, I did want to mention a couple of these other companies because overall, I do think this stock market is going to continue to go up regardless of who wins, just because we have to continue quantitative easing and that money printing. But anyway, here is another stock that I've been watching here recently. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when we noticed this inverse head and shoulders pattern potentially developing here for Google. And I said that if we did break out, that we may go up to around $192, retest those all-time highs. We did break out quite aggressively. We're coming back down. So right now it looks like we are testing this 170 level, and there will probably be this will probably act as support for Google, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But it does look like come down to close that gap fill we left on the way up. So I'm expecting a little bounce here on Google in the short to intermediate term. Longer term, I definitely think Google still goes higher. Another stock we can keep an eye on is Super Micro. Obviously, we had the sell-off due to the audit setting at $26.18. This thing sold off super aggressively when that news came out that they were being audited. We had this little inverse head and shoulders pattern here we thought may play out. Obviously, that failed, so I will go ahead and remove that for now on that on this stock. But nevertheless, I do think that there is a possibility we could see a bounce here. Seeing a little bounce today, so we could see some recovery here on Super microcomputer, ticker symbol SMCI. Um, but would I be looking to buy here? Probably depends on your risk tolerance, I would say. But I would like to see some sort of uh, formation here to see if we do form a base around these levels before I really wanted to jump back into this stock. So that's something we can keep an eye on. But what I really want to talk about today is the some of the crypto trades because we are in the end of the year going into this presidential election, and typically we know after the presidential election, that is very bullish for Bitcoin as well as crypto. We've been talking a lot about Bitcoin, but we also have some of these altcoins that may start to take off here in the coming weeks. So we'll discuss that. As mentioned, Q1 is very strong for Ethereum with 92% returns on average. So that's something we've been looking at here on the channel. And 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹𝗶𝗺𝗃 posted this here over on X. He said not only did Michigan's pension buy ETH ETFs, but they bought more than they did of the Bitcoin ETFs, 10 million versus 7 million. So that is interesting. We're starting to see a lot of these institutions and also the government's now buying into these ETFs. So I want to mention a couple of those. First off is the ETH ProShares ETF, ticker symbol EETH, setting at 48.75. Coming back down to the bottom side here on this trend line. So we may come back down to touch this trend line, but I do think that we are getting very close to a bottom here for ETH before it starts moving up. As mentioned, we know that Q1 is very strong, and in particular, January does look like it could be very strong for a lot of these altcoins. Another ETF I want to mention is the ETH2X fund. So this is ticker symbol ETHU, setting at $4.78. This was launched earlier this year, and so this could go much higher if ETH goes back up. So I do think that we will see that. Where will we go for Ethereum? Well, my guess is we do break those previous all-time highs during this bull cycle, and that could send this fund much higher. Another stock to keep an eye on is Coinbase. Obviously, if crypto is doing well, then I think these picks and axes will do well, such as Coinbase. Coinbase setting at 185 and coming back down to our trend line here. So we are looking for this trend line to see if that will act as support. Maybe we'll see a bounce here. This sold off quite a bit here in the last couple of days. So we may hold this trend line, but nevertheless, I do suspect that this purple box here will act as support, as we saw there over the last couple of months. And I do think Coinbase will go much higher once Bitcoin and these altcoins begin to move. Also keeping an eye out on silver. Silver selling off. We've seen a little weakness in gold in the past couple of days, and so silver's now coming back down to a pretty good area, right around $32. Of course, we have our 382. We mentioned once we broke out of here, we may come back down to retest this area. And short to intermediate term, we still have a target of around 37.50 on silver. So we could be heading up there in the next couple of weeks, potentially. And of course, longer term, we do have higher price targets on silver of around $45. If you're interested in buying stocks, commodities, or crypto, you can do so with Robinhood. Robinhood right now is also offering a new platform for traders. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. Been doing day trading here for a couple years now, and really been finding it quite enjoyable. But I have been an investor and swing trader for over 20 years. So this is something that I've been doing more so here recently. Although I don't necessarily sit behind a computer all day long, I still look at this stuff every day. And I really set up my trades more for like the multiple day to multiple week or multiple month time frames. But if you're interested in investing and building your portfolio, you can do so uh, with just as little as $1. And they allow you to buy stocks, ETFs, options, and trade commission free. Plus, they offer cryptos such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and many more, as well as gold. So if you're interested, you can check that out down in the link below. Plus, whenever you use that link, you will receive an additional one stock when you sign up using that link. All right, guys, let's get back into Bitcoin and crypto and discuss what's going on there. We'll start off with Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been showing a little bit of weakness. We mentioned that we thought we may see a little bit coming into the election this week. I think this could last potentially for the next week or so, depending on how long it takes to get the results for the election. But nevertheless, right now, Bitcoin's coming back down to our first key support area. This box we highlighted right around $67,500. So that's something to keep an eye on. We're also coming back down to our downward sloping trend line, which acted as support when Bitcoin started to break out and go for those all-time highs, acting as a springboard to test those all-time highs. And we also have the midline of our upward sloping channel. So I do think there's a lot of support in this area. If we do lose this area, there is some support still down around $65,000. And then, of course, we do have some support down here, or a lot more support, I should say, around $63,000. So I don't really think we'd go any lower than that. This election has been closely contended here recently, so things may get spicy going into the election, and we could see a wick down, possibly to some of these lower levels. If we do see a wick, I don't suspect that it'll last much longer than maybe 24 hours or something like that. It might just be a bit of news that comes out that freaks out the markets. But nevertheless, I do think Bitcoin is going higher, and this may be our last chance. We could see a bounce here off this level, potentially one more pullback, and then we take off. But I do think that we are heading towards new all-time highs here very soon in the coming days and weeks, and we are probably going to that 80, 90, $100,000 potentially by the end of the year. So that is looking very good for Bitcoin. Um, we also have the Bitcoin dominance. I zoomed out a little bit on this chart. This is a chart I brought up a lot here recently because we thought this purple box would act as resistance, but we're starting to break through there. So I wanted to zoom out a little bit more. When in doubt, zoom out. And just wanted to point out this downward sloping trend here on dominance, so that we do have potential to go higher here on dominance, possibly up to around maybe 63% on the Bitcoin dominance. And of course, that means that Bitcoin is stronger than the altcoins, but we do expect it to reject at any time now. And when that happens, that is when the altcoin season will start. You can see we had similar patterns here previously. And whenever we saw that breakdown last time, as well as in 2017, is when we had those altcoin rallies that everybody has known in crypto and grown to love. We also have the dollar rejecting off our box here of what is now acting as resistance, previously was support. We mentioned this area may be the top for the dollar. It could go higher. There is a possibility. This has been very bullish here over the past several weeks as we've headed up to this election. So I do think that the dollar does find some strength potentially if Trump wins, only because of possibly the trade tariffs. But nevertheless, I do suspect that the dollar is going to reject here somewhat soon and start going down. We do think that the dollar will start weakening as the Fed begins to cut rates more and the money printer turns on. And so that will devalue the dollar over the long term. And of course, everyone knows, or a lot of people do know, that is good for risk assets, assets in general, but risk assets do very well during those times. And I also want to bring up the Bitcoin heat liquidation map. This is the 1 week. So I wanted to zoom out a little bit on this, and you'll see that there's a lot of liquidity sitting around $70,500, as well as some of these other levels up higher, including $73,500. So liquidity is building to the upside, indicating that we may see the price spike here on Bitcoin soon. We also have the chart of Ethereum. Of course, Ethereum has been weaker here recently, but the reason I wanted to mention those ETFs because I do think that if Bitcoin starts to take off, then we will start to see some of these altcoins catch up. And of course, Ethereum is one of the largest altcoins, considered basically number two in the crypto world. And I do think that we are at some really good levels here for Ethereum, coming back down to our trend line, sitting at $2,436. Could we go lower? Yes. There is a possibility that we do come back down, retest some of these levels down here. But nevertheless, I do think this is probably one of the last chances to get in on some of these altcoins before they take off. We know whenever they start to take off that they some of these do rip to the upside, including Solana. Solana's been really strong here recently over the past several weeks, and it is sitting at 159. Of course, we had this inverse head and shoulders pattern here. And we mentioned if we did break out of this pattern, we thought we were going to $200. So we reached about $180 on Solana. It is pulling back, and this is pretty typical for almost any chart pattern that you look at on stocks or crypto. Is whenever you do have some sort of trend that is broken, a lot of times we'll come back to retest that area before springing higher. So it looks like that is what's happening right now. There is possibility Solana comes back down. I do suspect that maybe this trend line will act support right around $156. Nevertheless, we have the longer term trend line down here right around $152, $153. So there is the possibility Solana does go a little lower. Nevertheless, I still think Solana is going to $200 here in the coming weeks and much higher than that afterwards. And another altcoin that has been acting very strong recently is SUI, ticker symbol SUI. So this one has really taken off here in the last couple weeks and finding a lot of strength bouncing off the 0.382 Fibonacci. And it does look like that this coin is going to do potentially very well this cycle. I think this coin does go much higher. So that is one that I have been working on to build a bigger position in as I've been rotating from some of the weaker coins into some of the stronger coins. We also know that the meme coin uh, sector has been very strong here recently, and this is Dogecoin sitting at 15 cents right now. And what I wanted to point out here on Doge, if we zoom in a little bit, we mentioned if we broke out, you see that spike out, that retest of that trend line, and then to that first take profit zone that we had set up there for Doge. Um, but we did see a little pullback here, and we came basically down, found support right around the 618 on this last move. So I do this little Fibonacci on here just so you can see that, to see how that acts as support. So we're looking for Doge to potentially move higher here in the coming days and weeks. And of course, this could be a play with uh, Elon and Trump. So Doge has been, seems like it's been really starting to wake up here in the past couple of weeks as we get closer to these elections. So that's something to keep in mind. Um, but overall, really, the meme coin sector has been probably the strongest sector of the crypto market this cycle. And whenever uh, these altcoins begin to move, we are seeing these meme coins really rip higher. I would never thought that I would be a meme coin investor, but nevertheless, as investors and traders, we are here to make money. Would I be buying these for long term? No, I'm only looking to trade meme coins. But nevertheless, I have been building a little position, and that's all I suggest with meme coins due to the volatility, is only using a small portion of your portfolio. Uh, but yeah, building a little position here now on meme coins, and Doge looks like it is setting up to potentially be here very strong here in the coming days and weeks. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, SUI, Dogecoin, Dog with Hat, or many others, you can do so with Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood allows you to buy, sell, and trade crypto, gold, and silver 24/7 in a low cost, no monthly fee, tax advantage IRA. What I like about iTrust Capital is they allow you to roll over a portion or all of your 401k or IRA with iTrust, and they are adding new cryptocurrencies here. Recently, they've got several, such as Optimism, TON. We see a lot of these newer coins that come in, and we know that a lot of times these newer coins tend to outperform some of the older coins, particularly if they have a strong fundamentals and a better solution, i.e., they are faster. We also know that AI has done well this year, as real world assets and gaming are also expected to take off. So that's something to keep in mind. And they have over 5,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. So if you're interested, you can use the link down in the description below. And when you do so, you'll receive an additional $100 in your account. All right, guys, don't forget to go follow me over on X at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. But over here on X, I post anything that I see that has to do with the markets, including stocks, commodities, and crypto. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the like button as well, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And of course, if you know anyone out there that this video may help, feel free to share it with them or drop a comment below and let me know if there's anything you want me to take a look at. I can check those out for you as well. But anyway, guys, it is Monday. So just getting into the week here, thinking about doing a live stream during the election just to see what is going on with the markets, including stocks, commodities, and crypto. So that could be interesting. Um, but nevertheless, you guys let me know. What do you think? Should I do a live stream? Uh, just let me know. Drop a comment down below. And anyway, guys, I will be back this week with more videos. So until next time, take care, be legendary,